Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Tina from tinaheals.com, and this video is about how to invoke Saturn, how to do basic Saturn magic, chanting some mantras of Saturn. So this will be a sort of a manual for you to work with the Saturnine energies. Okay, so Saturn is the seventh planet of the solar system, and it is the very end till our eyes can see. After Saturn we cannot see anything else, but we can see Saturn but very hazy. Sometimes if the sky is clear we can see Saturn's rings as well. Okay, so you've heard of Lord of the Rings. That is Saturn, Lord of the Rings. Saturn is Father Time, okay? And Saturn is also death, because Saturn concludes cycles. Wherever Saturn is placed in your birth chart, you will have to work very hard to manifest in that department of life. But if you figure out how to work with the Saturnine energy, then you will be a magician like none other. You will be able to manifest, you will be able to protect, you will be able to truly understand the beauty of the 3D world that Saturn has created. Okay, Saturn is the deity of the high sphere, planetary spheres. And after that, of course, we have the spheres of the fixed stars and all. But in the solar system and in traditional astrology, Saturn is the last planet considered. Okay, so the god name of Saturn is Yahweh or Elohim. Okay, so Saturn is the ultimate, he's Yahweh, and his planetary name is Shabbatai. I hope I pronounced that correct. Shabbatai, okay, and that is a sacred planetary name. And if you really look at Judaism, it is all about Saturn, and Christianity is all about Helios or Sol, the sun, right? Now, Saturn is Kronos, Saturnus, death, also known as Father Time, known as Coracia or Ima, the mother, and he's also considered to be the great malefic. Okay, so Saturn is the great malefic and Mars is the lesser malefic, right? And now I am going to draw for you the magical square of Saturn. So I was looking for some white paper, but at this moment I think, okay, so I'll just have to do it on paper that has lines, but you will understand what I mean. This is the magical square of Saturn. Too much intensity maybe. So okay, let me draw for you the magical square of Saturn. All right, it is 4, 9, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8, 1, 6. Okay, so this is the magical square of Saturn. And let us also study the glyph of Saturn. It is like a skeith, all right? So, and a skeith is all about harvest time. Okay, it is time to harvest. So Saturn is maturity, Saturn is ripeness, and Saturn is the time to harvest. Okay, and Saturn's primary numbers are 3, 9, 15, and 45. Okay, these are the 4 numbers of Saturn. Why? Because if you look over here, each row and column contain 3 numbers. 9 numbers are there. Okay, ranging from 1 to 9, all of the numbers, okay, 9 numbers are there. So 3, 9, 15, and 45, remember. 15 is each row and each column and diagonal adds to 15. Okay, so it's very important to understand the magic, the number vibration of Saturn. Okay, and if you add all the numbers, they come up to a 45, which is again a 9. Completions. Okay, 45, you add them all up, they come to 45, which is again a 9, and 9 is completions, right? So Saturn's in the Dasamahavidya, Kali's consort is Saturn or Shani. So that's why the great mother, the abyss, Saturn is sometimes considered the great abyss. So Saturn has all the planets, in the ancients believe that all the planets have souls in them. In fact, if you look at the new research, it says that the universe is conscious unto itself. So the universe is consciousness. So obviously the planets have their very own consciousness that they embody, which, you know, probably will be as vague to us as our functionings are to a cell. So we don't understand how Saturn embodies consciousness in this realm that he manifests through the 7 spheres. Okay, now Saturn has, I will draw to you the intelligence of Saturn. I hope I can do justice to it. Okay, this is a sigil for intelligence of Saturn. It looks a bit funny, I know, but it's the intelligence of Saturn. Okay, check it out. And actually, Saturn also has another sigil, and which is this. Okay, of course the lines will join. Right now the lines are not joining. Okay, that is one of the other sigils of Saturn. Now, you know that a lot of people who do curse work or hexes or other kind of negative magic only work with Saturn and Mars. In fact, all the villains we see in life, they all embody Saturn or Mars. Okay, so if you are doing bad magic, which I do not never suggest you do baneful magic, because, you know, ultimately the archetype in your mind is that evil magicians get punished, and if you're doing baneful magic, you are becoming the archetype of the evil magician, the hegemonic evil magician, and ultimately your mind knows that, you know, your psyche knows that such a person is, he may succeed in the beginning, but ultimately it'll lead to failure no matter what he does because of his Machiavellian tendencies, right? So yes, Machiavelli was very Saturnine. Okay, so here we have to do bad, the Zazel is the angel that is invoked, and this is the sigil used. Okay, for baneful magic, for any kind of bad Saturnine invocation, you invoke the angel Zazel. Okay, it's a planetary intelligence. There are, of course, 3 divisions: spirits, angel spirits, and planetary intelligence. So this Zazel is the planetary intelligence of Saturn that does wrathful magic. Okay, so if you know that, you can counteract it, because even Saturn is the only one who can help you counter all the negative influences, okay, that Saturnine magic is doing to you. Very interesting, right? So Saturn magic can be used for very many things, to give structure for problems with your spine. Medically, you can use Saturn. You can use Saturn for retribution, cursing, and harm, which I said is not a good idea, because, you know, what you send out comes back to you in the hologram. Always remember that. And it can also be done to counter this magic, all this negative magic that's happening. Especially if you're cursed, you have to work with Saturn. If you're cursed, if you think you're cursed, if it's a generational curse, definitely you have to work with Saturn. Okay, so to invoke Saturn, you have to wear all black. like moi. You see that? Wear all black, right? The tarot card is the devil. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. I was going to do another video and then just started on that, but let me go on telling you more about Saturn while I look for this card. So the metals of Saturn are lead, okay, and storax, black onyx is the crystal you can use for Saturn. Black obsidian, black onyx is very powerful to create pendants on the day of Saturn and the hour of Saturn, and with correct invocations. And actually the Empress card is also associated with Saturn in the triplicity system. Okay, one would be like, oh, how can Saturn be connected to Venus? Venus is Empress, right? But think about it. Saturn is exalted in which sign? Venus rules Libra. So there's always this friendship between Saturn and Venus that we cannot quite comprehend. What can a young maiden have in common with a senior? A lot, okay? Because you understand that Saturn loves Venusian ways, but gives it structure, gives it balance, because honestly without Saturn we wouldn't get much work done. Okay, my Capricorn is my 5th house, so I'm very Saturnine when it comes to my creativity, and I have my Saturn in the 29th degree of Leo conjunct Regulus, the heart of the lion, that has due to the precession of the equinoxes moved from Leo to Virgo. So that's of course up for discussion, and right there I find the tarot card of Saturn, which speaks of addictions, which speaks of enslavement, because we are all enslaved by Saturn. But it also speaks of mastery, self-mastery. That is definitely what this card is about. Self-mastery, realizing that these useless shackles are there because you refuse to throw them off, as simple as that. So this is definitely a card to keep on your altar if you are invoking Saturn on Saturday, during the hour of Saturn, of course, which I'll get to. I'll tell you the hours of Saturn, the day and night. A sapphire, black onyx, black obsidian, black tourmaline, smoky quartz. These are all precious to Saturn. There are very many. I am mentioning these because I've worked with these, okay? Black candles, very powerful for any kind of, as I said, banishment spells, because what do you want to banish in your life? Poverty, you want to banish ill health. All that banishment spells for Saturn can be very effective, because Saturn destroys so that the whole circuitry doesn't blow up. He destroys because that thing needed destruction. Pluto destroys indiscriminately because Pluto is very life force. But Saturn, interestingly, destroys when you don't need it anymore, when you need to move beyond it, past it. Okay, herbs of Saturn, personal favorites that I've worked with: indigo, juniper, mandrake, again hallucinogens, pine, witch hazel. In fact, I used to have very bad acne, but all of that went away because of witch hazel cream. All right, it's very beautiful. Yew and black mustard seeds. Oftentimes black mustard seeds are used in different traditions, hoodoo, even tantra, for cursing. But black mustard seeds can also be used for protection, because they also represent Kali, which I said is again the consort of Shani or Saturn. Okay, so mustard seeds, I told you about spice magic, and spice magic is really real. Okay, so if you're invoking Saturn and you just have the sigil, you have the magic square of Saturn, you don't even need the sigil. Okay, the intelligence of Saturn that I showed you, there's these ones. Okay, not this, this is a baneful magic one. So, and the magic square that I showed you, if you just write this on brown paper and you just place this and you invoke Saturn, and you have on black obsidian, black tourmaline, you light a black candle, You know, you can use a petition paper, of course. I'm making a detailed video on that. But these are some few simplistic things to do, simplistic ways to do magic. Okay, yes, you can be very ceremonial, very, you know, full of ingredients and full of magical things, but a lot of people may not have them. So how do you work with Saturn magic? I'm explaining to you in very simplified ways, stuff that really works, stuff that I've put together. Okay, now the R of Saturn, okay, is the 5th hour and the 12th hour in the day. Of course, sunset and sunrise is how you calculate hours. Rises, you start counting 12 hours to sunsets, and those are the night hours. Okay, so in the day, the 5th and the 12th hour belong to Saturn. Day, of course, you know, Saturday, right? Saturn's day. And the night time is the 7th hour. From your sunset, you calculate the 7th hour is the hour of Saturn. Okay, daytime, sunrise, 5 or 12 is the hour of Saturn, when you can create Saturn talismans, you can invoke Saturn, you can do spells and banishment rituals and any other Saturn related rituals. Now in the Golden Dawn, okay, the planetary ritual was performed through a hexagram, the perfect six-sided figure, the hexagram. Okay, interestingly, the ritual of the hexagram is meant to invoke all the planetary deities. But if you see, Saturn actually has a hexagram on the North Pole that scientists have been actively studying. They say it's because of geomagnetic storms. But Saturn has a perfect shape, a hexagram on its North Pole. In fact, David Icke has something very interesting to say about Saturn. He says Saturn is not what we think he is, because we are living in a matrix, and Saturn is emitting negative energies through our DNA, okay, and the moon controls us. So that's a very different way of looking at things. I love David Icke. But I tend to think of Saturn as friend, Saturn as guide, Saturn as ally, you know, rather than Saturn as a malefic or a malevolent force. So there. Now, the angel is Cassiel, Saturn's angel Cassiel. So if you're going to work with invoking the angel of Saturn, it's Cassiel. Some also call him Zaphiel. T-Z-A-P-H-I-E-L, Zaphiel, okay, like Zar, Zaphiel, okay. The intelligence is AGL, and the spirit is Zazel. I told you Zazel has been used for baneful magic, which is cursing, hexing, you know, death and all of that. All of that is also Saturnine magic. All right, so Saturn rules which planets, which signs. Okay, Saturn as a planet rules 2 signs, Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn is the only planet who rules 2 signs adjacent to one another. So he has the longest time of rulership that's happening now, Capricorn then Aquarius. Okay, 5 years straight out. 2.5 years orbit, 29 years. Okay, Saturn's full orbit around the sun, 2.5 years in each sign. So Saturn is going to experience his rulership in Aquarius as well in the upcoming years. A year and a half, okay, a few months here and there. And if you think about it, Capricorn and Aquarius are very diverse energies, very diverse energies. Capricorn's like, I'm going to be the boss. Aquarius is about taking the waters of celestial wisdom and pouring it forth for mankind. So there is a huge duality within these 2 signs, and how Saturn expresses himself through these 2 signs. Okay, exalted in Libra. I already told you that. The Empress card and Libra. So myrrh, M-Y-R-R-H, is the incense you can use for Fumigation, which is the process of lighting incense to call on spirits, using smoke as a medium to call on spirits. So Cassiel or Zaphiel, or if you're invoking the intelligences of Saturn, you can use Fumigation. okay? Burn myrrh. And animal totems to use for your altar would be goat or crocodile. And also old antique clocks or any kind of, old clock pieces could be very, very effective. Now, I want to get a bit into mantras of Saturn, because I am a syncreticist, as you know, and I syncretize different traditions. So these are mantras from the Vedic system that I plan to bring forth because I've used them. I've mixed and matched with petition papers from the Hoodoo tradition, with sigils from the Western Solomonic tradition, image magic, Pico tricks, Vedic understanding, Lal Kitab remedies. So I'm going to tell you what works for me. Okay, so the mantra of Shani. Shani is Saturn in Sanskrit. Its Mula mantra is Sham Shanishcharaya Namaha. Sham Shanishcharaya Namaha. So you can invoke Shani even in your altar through this, and you can chant 11 times Sham Shanishcharaya Namaha. Either 11 or 108 times. It can be 9 also. Then there is, of course, the recitation of the Navagraha, which can be done by anyone, and it appeases all 9 planets. So, Navagraha Stotram. I'll make a video on that, but that's a long one. I won't tell you about that. I am targeting specific Shani or Saturn mantras. The other one is this Om Shri Shari Devaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Shari Devaya Shanti Bhava. Om Shri Shari Devaya Shubham Falaha. Om Shri Shari Devaya Falaha Prapti Falaha. So the meaning of this is salutations to Lord Shani, who bestows upon one the peace, success and prosperity of life. Okay. The Bij mantra of Shani. So the Bij is the invocation, the seed. So the seed is the first one you should attempt. It is Om, Pram, Preem, Praum, Sah, Shanishwaraya Namaha. But mispronunciation in Bij will not give you results. So you can even listen to the Bij mantra. The meaning of this is, O Lord Shani, be in my favor and calm my senses. Shani balancer, calms your senses. Now the Shani Gayatri mantra, all deities have a Gayatri mantra. It's invocation of the goddess and Shani. So it goes like Om Kakyadvajaya Vidmahe Khadgahastyaya Dhimahi Tanno Mandah Prachodayat. Om, let me meditate on him who has a crow in his flank, he who has a sword in his hand. Give me higher intellect. Sanishwaraya, illuminate my mind. Another Lal Kitab remedy for Saturn afflictions is feed crows, be with old people, visit old age homes. Black dogs, of course, feed them. Hour of Saturn, day of Saturn, right? Interesting thing about Saturn is it rules both the Muladhara chakra as well as the Sahasrara chakra. So that's why violet, the Sahasrara is this, Muladhara is the base. This is violet and that is red. So oftentimes the ceremonial robe for Saturn invocation can also be violet. Of course, some extreme curses and extreme Saturn rituals are done naked with maybe just a black robe on, without anything, just a black robe or just a black cloth, oftentimes. Now, Saturn is not just the great malefic, not out to punish you. He's not out to hurt you. Okay, he is the power of the manifested word. Okay, he's the power of manifestation. You want to manifest something, take baby steps and you will complete the bigger picture one day. Okay, that's how Saturn wants you to do it. Tiny baby steps. Okay, and think about, look at me, I have Saturn on the 29th of Leo, which is my 12th house. interesting because Saturn in the 12th house, although this is it's the house of your undoing. It's a dangerous house to have a planet in. Saturn somehow is very difficult, Saturn in the 12th. But if you really push towards self-mastery, Saturn blesses you in the 12th house. Look, I have my Saturn conjunct Regulus, the fixed star, the heart of the lion. And what can I say? It's beautiful. I had to understand the mastery of spirituality. I mean, I don't think I have, but I'm on the path. So what can I say? Humility. Keyword for Saturn, always humility. Now, you can offer walnuts, even herbs like onion, garlic, you can use as cleansers during difficult Saturn transit. Saturn rules the hair. So think about that. I mean, anything that gives us structure, and then Mars also rules hair, Aries. But Saturn, I mean, if you use onion oil, cold pressed onion oil with coconut oil, it actually rejuvenates hair. Okay, off the topic, but that's very interesting. Onion. Saturn rules the slate, the black slate that, you know, in India we used to write on R, E, E or A, B, C, D. You can draw, Saturn rules the slate. So if you're looking at, drawing a sigil of Saturn, you can do it on black slate. You can wipe it off after you can consecrate it, you can wipe it off, then close your circle and put it away, okay? And this is something I personally do, have belladonna. If you are going through a very difficult Saturnine period, the homeopathic belladonna, have it. Okay, 4 or 5 globules, cleanse your mouth, wait 15 minutes, have the belladonna, don't touch food or water for 45 minutes, go about. Saturn rules belladonna. Okay, it's crazy. I tried it, works for me. Now remember, when can you not do Saturn magic? Not when, only when Saturn is in exaltation. So of course that period when Saturn is in Libra becomes a very potent time for us to do any kind of Saturn magic, okay? Saturn cannot be combust, cannot be in the heart of the sun or out of bounds, of course. Cannot aspect malefics. Poor thing, Saturn's like the greater malefic, so he cannot aspect Mars, basically. Oops, Saturn, I don't want to, you know, aspect malefics, but I'm the greater malefic, okay? And needs to be in a good configuration, Saturn, trines and all of that, and good aspects, of course, sextiles and stuff like that. Now, if you know about wormwood, okay, you can burn wormwood to summon the spirit of ancestors through the intelligence of Saturn, through the magic square of Saturn. You can use the tarot. I use the tarot for spirit communication. You can use pendulum. You can use the Ouija board. All of that is open, okay? But it can be deadly dangerous, wormwood. So don't consume tons of wormwood smoke. Now, interestingly, the stone called the Philosopher's Stone comes out of Saturn, said Flemish alchemist Isaac Hollandus. And you immediately realize that Saturn is about alchemical transmutation, right? A transformation from lead to gold, okay? Now, the black crow, when you see the black crow calling out, you feed it any day, of course, Saturday, very powerful. The black crow is calling out to you to make you aware of a spiritual transformation that is taking place within. And the black crow is the symbol of Negredo. You know, in the alchemical stage, there happens to be a stage of Negredo, when everything turns black. That is the dark night of the soul. So the black crow came summoning to me, you know, and showed me and propelled me towards more spiritual life. And I heard it. I have Saturn in the 12th, you know, as a conjunct Regulus. So I was pushed to realize this dark night of the soul was nothing but a dream, in a dream, in a dream. So yeah, and that's quite interesting. Okay, it is the Negredo stage. That's what the black crow symbolizes. You're ready to fly off. You're ready to alchemize, to change. Okay, now hemp is very Saturnine. Okay, there's tons of research on this online. Check it out. How Saturn rules hemp, because 19th century occultists, they had all those magnetic what do you call them, those uh, discs, those magnetic discs, whereby they would do their divination, their Ouija board, that the 19th century occultists used, and they would lace it with hemp oil because they believed this you know, messages seeping in from the other world was because of hemp, and Saturn rules hemp. So there. Now hemp helps us transcend time. So Saturn is the ruler of time, makes sense, right? Now, when you are invoking Saturn, a very good gesture to do would be this open-handed gesture. Okay, it is called the sign of Apophysis and Typhon. Okay, this gesture where you have both your hands up. Okay, and another one is the gesture of silence. That is also Saturnine. So you can do the gestures, the invocation, before you start on the mantras on your altar, before you call upon your angels or the planetary intelligence or the spirits. So that was a bit about Saturn, my favorite, my dear friend, my ally, my guardian, my love, Saturn. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I liked making it. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think. Thank you.